Almost Enormous Book Haul. Hi, I'm Gary Lovisi, and while this is not the enormous book haul, this is almost enormous because there's a lot of books here. These are things that I picked up at various shows, and the Bordentown Book Show, which we did a video of previously, which you can see the book show on my YouTube channel. So we bought some books there. We bought some books at the Morristown Bookshop, which I've also done a video on, so you can check out that shop, and various eBay and other situations that books come my way. And I'm going to show them to you now. I think it's an interesting, various group of things. Now, where do I start? I'll do the paperbacks last. I'll do some of these here. Well, first I'll start off with two books by two writers that I like that are writing new books now, Wayne Carey and Teal James Glenn. These are two books by them, and it's Zombie Island, which is a really cool horror comedy, kind of funny, cool book, and The Cowboy and the Conqueror, which is actually, this is Robert E. Howard is the star of this book. He's the main pulp action hero. In an alternate world where in 1936 he did not commit suicide, but he lived. And this is what the second book in the series, the first book I read last year. So these guys have tabled at the show in Bordentown, and I see them every year. They're really good guys. They do these really great books. And I bought them last year, and I bought them this year, and I read Wayne's book. I really enjoyed his previous book about the Civil War reenactors, and then the previous book by Teal James Glenn about Robert E. Howard, which I read, and I really enjoyed that. It was a pretty damn good book. So this one I'm starting to read, and it's pretty good too. These are all new books published by New Pulp, published by Pro Se Press, which is out of Arkansas, and out of Pro Se Productions out of Arkansas. They do some really nice books, and so those are two books. If you want to read some new pulp, that's some good stuff that I recommend. Now for some old pulp. Oh, I found these beauties from July 1931. Wonder Stories. Hugo Gernsback's magazine, 1931, with, and this is why I bought it, The City of the Singing Flame by Clark Ashton Smith. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Pulp story, pulp magazine, great illustration, and on the next page is a drawing of Clark Ashton Smith. So that's, and there's a lot of other great stuff in this 1931, almost, I guess 90 years old, or not, maybe more, 90 plus years old pulp. Great cover art. And the next one is from April 31. Try to keep these in bags because they're very delicate, these pulps. So April 31, great big head cover art, cool cover. I'm not sure who did the cover, but there's also another Clark Ashton Smith story in here. An Adventure in Futurity by Clark Ashton Smith, The Future Worlds. And this is really nice pulp. Really nice condition for a 91-year-old pulp. These are really pretty nice. And they are brittle. So it's it's a crapshoot when you find these. They're beautiful, but they're very delicate. Ballantine Books, we all know, published a lot of science fiction. They started, see this piece of the pulp magazine here. See, they're so delicate. Ballantine Books published a lot of great science fiction, paperback, but also they started out as a hardcover publisher. And here's two of them, early hardcovers. They published simultaneous hardcover and paperbacks. And originally, first they started in the small paperback size. And this was from 1955. They had a small paperback size in dust jacket. You can see the dust jacket. And then a couple of years later, they published them in a larger hardcover size. And here's the book. A little nicer type of style for that. And the dust jacket, they were $2. This was H25. Very nice. Fletcher Pratt, a great read. David Duncan, I'm not too knowledgeable on, but early science fiction. A couple of other things. Just something that I found that I really liked. This is from 1926, fifth printing of this, Dutton, hardcover. In Texas with Davy Crockett, the story of the Texas War of Independence by Everett McNeil. Really cool book. Very cool. And then illustrated boards. Very nice. And one other that I like a lot, because I've done videos on some of these books, the aviation pulps from an aviation paperback hardcovers. This is from 1933, The Sky Detectives. I like aviation hardcovers. This is like when airplanes were, this is from 1933. This is Goldsmith and first edition. And this is when airplanes were like, I don't even know, like spaceships, not even like that. They were like so esoteric and so modern, you know. And cool stories. Most of these were for, see, this, the boards, green boards. Most of these were for juveniles, for boys, action adventure. And they're pretty cool. Here's another book for boys, action adventure. The Jolly Roger, the pirate book for boys. And this is really cool. This is by Joseph Lewis French. It's from Milton Bradley Company. So I didn't know Milton Bradley published books. It's 1928, first edition. And here's the book, The Jolly Roger. Pirate book for boys. It's got this pirate end papers, really cool. Let me see if I can show you some of this. Some really nice stuff in here. Here's all the pirate flags. Like really cool. These are the actual flags that were used by certain pirates. And then it has stories about various pirates with illustrations. Of various pirates and stories about them and their nefarious deeds. Sir Henry Morgan. History of pirates. I like pirate adventures and pirate books. Doubloons, pirate battles. These really cool illustrations, you know, old-time illustrations. So that's some of the books we're going to take a look at. Looking over here, we're going to look at some other things that, well, I also collect British and Australian and other crime novels. So we're going to take a look at one now. It's The Lovelies Die First by Dale Bogard. It's a WDL British gangster paperback. Great Good Girl cover art. And this one was damaged, and it has been fixed by a specialist in the trade who was able to take this corner clip and fix it so that you almost don't notice it. And it's really nice. It's nice when somebody can bring back one of these books or save them from oblivion and destruction, because they are really delicate. The back cover the covers on this are just paper. So I mean, really like thin paper. So it's like very, very delicate. Now we're going on to Australia. Is New York Detective. This is from the early 50s. Day Keane, Hunt the Killer. Really great classic crime. New York Detective, number 36. Now we're going to have some Phantom books digest. What happened with Phantom Books was an American publisher of Crime Digest. They published, I'm not sure, maybe 14 or something like that, 15 digests. Day Keane and Harry Whittington, and some really good stuff, all paperback originals in digest form in the early 50s, 1950. They started with number, I believe, 501. They did like about 15 of the books. And what happened was they stopped publishing, but a company in Australia bought out the Phantom line, and they published Phantom books in Australia with the same logo, same design, the same name. And they published the first Phantom books from the United States. They reprinted them, usually with the same cover art but redrawn. And then they published others by just about every vintage paperback crime author that exists. And they published over 300 books in this series. It's unbelievable. And they're very collectible, very cool, and quite scarce. And to make things worse and more tough for the collector, the last 30 or so books were paperback size in 1958 or 59. The last run of the series turned from digest to paperback size. And those paperback size ones are really scarce and really tough to find. So it's like pretty impossible. But here's some of them now. And you'll recognize the authors, and you'll see in some of the redrawn cover art that they copied the American copies. So this is Phantom Books First Edition, 778, The Quaking Widow by Robert Colby. And this is Death in 123 by Robert Abrams. This is number 621. This is Come Back for a Corpse by Owen Dudley, number 771. The ones in this, they're published in the 500, 600, and 700 series, like 300 of them. The 700 series, the higher numbers are much more scarce. And then the higher numbers, the 800 series, are the paperbacks, and those are incredibly scarce. Up to Her Neck by John Newton Chance is number 754. And the back covers have a little bit of illustration. And they all have the Phantom logo, which this logo and the name they took from the American Phantom books. And the American Phantom books look just like this with the logo. Actually, they look more like on this logo. This is a Kill at Dusk by Philip Ketchum, number, sometimes it's hard to read them, 689, I think. This is more like the Phantom logo on the American Phantom books. Mistress on a Deathbed by Norman A. Daniels, 578. Really cool cover. It's like really nice. The girl here, and then the guy's in the background. The guy's drinking, and he's going to get hit on the head. Classic by Wade Miller, The Killer, number 522. This is an early one in the series. And the last of these Australian Phantoms is Phantom First Edition, Loser by a Head by Harry Giddings. This number 772. So those are the some of the Australian Phantoms which I picked up to get my collection expanded somewhat. So those are
expanding now.
Expanding. I'm expanding too, you know. So that's them. A few other books. The picked up a bunch of these. Oh, I want one. This is a paperback original, The Heirs of Hammerfell, Marion Zimmer Bradley, a Darkover novel. It's a paperback original, but I bought it just because I'd never seen it with this unique kind of foil cover. You see, it shines, and I thought it was a pretty cool book. So I bought that, and I'm going to keep that. That's something I really like. I like her Darkover books. Really great series of science fiction. TSR was a publisher that did fantasy role-playing games in the 70s. I don't know if they did Dungeons and Dragons or not, but they did similar types of fantasy role-playing games. And while they were selling the games, and they were very popular, they would sell also little booklets, little like packages of notes of characters in the role-playing games and histories of the role-playing games and all of that. That eventually led to TSR getting into regular publishing of fantasy books. And so some of the early fantasy books are in the Greyhawk Adventures series. And here's book 3, 4, and 5 of them by Rose Estes. And these are pretty nice. They have really nice cover art.
3, 4, 5, and 6.
Is it 3, 4, 5, and 6? What did I say?
3, 4, 5. I think.
And 6. And these are paperback originals from around. This one is from 1987. This is Master Wolf. This is The Prince of Power. Really nice cover art. The back covers are pretty much the same. Just information on the books and the series. The Demon Hand. And then the last one that I have is number 6, is The Name of the Game. Very cool, really nice cover art, and they have really nice illustrations inside, black and white illustrations. They have the TSR logo. TSR. You don't see a lot of TSR paperbacks anymore. They're kind of not that common. So these were nice. These were nice to find, and they're really beautiful condition. So now we're going to get back to some paperbacks, because that's my first love. And a really nice one that I picked up. This is from 1968, Fritz Leiber, Farfod and the Grey Mouser, Ace Book H73, Swords Against Wizardry. Great sword and sorcery collection. Actually, it's kind of like a novel, but he put together some stories. And it's a great Jeffrey Jones cover. Battlestar Galactica. This is a special edition from 1978, because it says special edition right there. And it's for the Educational Readers Society. So it's a special kind of a special edition of this Battlestar Galactica, which was a tie-in with the TV show. Not the original TV show, not the one from the 90s. The original TV show I really did not like that good. I thought it was kind of lame. The remake from the 1990s of Battlestar Galactica was freaking great. It was excellent. So it's amazing, like how a reboot on a old, story sometimes can get like really, really good. Ramsey Campbell is a terrific horror writer, and this is a British Fontana edition of one of his famous novels. This is from 1981, The Nameless, great horror novel. Crime author Day Keane is another perennial classic crime author. This is a McFadden Vartel book from 1966. It's a reprint, probably of the Digest, and maybe even of the Phantom Digest. But these McFarlane Bartells, for some reason, certain ones are very scarce and very collectible. People looking for them. They're just like very offbeat imprint or a publisher, and you don't see them that often, especially in nice condition. So those are really cool. Classic book. And this is a reprint. Does not tell you when. This is probably around in the 60s, American edition. Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. Classic horror novel. Great read. Now, there was a series of 3 MAGA books, and it doesn't have anything to do with MAGA. It's just science fiction books where they combine 2 books in one, and it's each of the 3 books has is the same famous author. So you have MAGA book number 1. These are from 1963. They're like a little digest, and they're really cool. And this is the complete set of them. Number 1 is Badge of Infamy and The Sky is Falling by Lester Del Rey, 2 complete novels by Lester Del Rey. And this is number 1. They're really nice. Number 2 is 2 complete novels by Jack Williamson, After World's End and The Legion of Time. The Legion books, his Legion books are great. I read them in the Pyramid paperbacks in the middle 60s. Boy, are they great. Really good stories. And then the 3rd book is 2 complete novels by Theodore Sturgeon, Baby is 3 and My Fear is Great. So these are the 3 MAGA books by, I don't know who published them. I think Galaxy probably. Yeah, it does say Galaxy MAGA books. So it's Galaxy magazine published these. And they're pretty cool. I wish they would have done more. Some other interesting books. This is a British Arrow book. Dennis Wheatley, The Island Where Time Stands Still, Arrow book 563. Dennis Wheatley wrote a whole lot of supernatural and occult books, but he also wrote pulp, adventure, and action. And this is one of them. And that's bordered on science fiction, and this is one of those. This is a cool little book, very 60s, 1962. Let's Twist, just a book about the twist. When the twist was a popular dance, Chubby Checker did a song on Let's Twist, and that was popular. And this is a book with pictures from that era. It's kind of like a time capsule of the early 60s dance scene. One of my favorite horror authors is Clark Ashton Smith, and where was this from? Does not say. 76. And this is Tales of Science and Sorcery, British edition. It's a Panther book. The Panther series is really great with terrific cover art. This is from 1976. This is a 1970 Belmont, Runts of 61 Cygne C by James Grazier. I have never read this, but I would like to read it. Always on my list. I love the idea of the one-eyed, naked little creatures running around. I don't know what the story is about, but it looks interesting. One that really looks good is Cormac McArt, The Mist of Doom by Andrew J. Offutt. This is number 1 in the Cormac McArt series by other writers. This is created by Robert E. Howard. These are pretty good. Young Frankenstein. This is a Gilbert Perlman novel, Ballantine, and it's from 19 '74. This is the movie tie-in edition. It's got the great Young Frankenstein poster on the cover, and inside it's got a whole bunch of pictures from the movie. It's a cool book. Very nice. A really nice one is Volume 2 of the Tales of Horror and the Supernatural by Arthur Machen. These are classic macabre horror stories in the Lovecraft style and tradition. Really, really good. It's a tough book. I've never seen this one, actually. It's very nice. And this is Volume 2 of 2. The back cover shows a picture of Arthur there, looking quite perturbed. Well, he's a horror writer, so he should look perturbed. In other movies, Zardoz as a Signet paperback from 1974. This is the science fiction movie with Sean Connery as a hero. And this is a movie tie-in paperback. It has pictures from the film. It's got that big head that floats around. It's a kind of a weird movie. But
what is he wearing?
yeah, I didn't get this movie. I saw it and I go like, I didn't get it. But I like the paperback though. Fantasies by George MacDonald, edited by Lynn Carter. This is a Ballantine adult fantasy series. This is from the 70s. This is a classic fantasy. This is the Ballantine unicorn logo of the adult fantasy series that Lynn Carter edited. All of these books are very collectible and very, very nice. Another great group of collectible books is the Zebra books that came out in 1976. And this is another Bran Mak Morn, Legion from the Shadows, and it's written by Carl Edward Wagner. Wagner wrote great sword and sorcery and horror, and he did this continuing Robert E. Howard's character. It has great cover art. I'm not sure who did it. I think it's Jeff Jones. Yeah, Jeff Jones. And the back cover, you can see. So it's a wraparound Jeff Jones cover, which is like, that's reason enough to buy the book in itself. Jeff Jones is great. Go Pops 1969. This is another one of those 60s kind of cool stuff that's going on at the time. Pop music with all kind of singers and stuff, and it has photos in it of different singers, all kinds of stuff that was going on in the 60s music scene. So it's like Go Pop 69. A really good book is The War Chief by Edgar Rice Burroughs. This is, Burroughs wrote two Western novels where an Apache was the hero, and Apache Native American Indian was a hero. And this is, I think, the second book, and this is the second printing of what it had. It's came out in the first printing 64. This is 73, but this has new cover art, and it's by Frank McCarthy, who's who has become a very famous and much liked Western artist. So this is the painting wraparound cover by Frank McCarthy. The new cover art for the second printing of The War Chief by Edgar Rice Burroughs. These are really good books. Everything by Burroughs is good. Now we have a really beautiful copy. It's a second printing from 1968, but a beautiful mint copy of Some of Your Blood by Theodore Sturgeon, his vampire horror novel. This is the second printing, but you can see how beautiful this is. Pages of white. This is from 1968. Looks like I found it back in my time machine. Another nice one is Year's Best Fantasy Stories. This is number 7, edited by Arthur Seha. This is Door book number 454 from 1981. And you just see Michael Whalen cover art. Great door book, fantasy stories, a lot of good stuff in there. And the last one is The Wrath of Fu Manchu by Sax Rohmer. This is door book 186. This is, it has a Jack Gordon cover. It's from 1976. The Wrath of Fu Manchu. This is the first edition. It collects various short stories and other items about Fu Manchu written by Sax Rohmer. So this was never published before as a book, so this is a scarce and good item. So there you have a semi incredible book haul, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you did, spread the word and give us a thumbs up, a like, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for looking.